The two-man power trip of WWF at the time, I miss the old days, was the team of Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin, riding high off of WrestleMania 17, which many people still consider to be the greatest WrestleMania ever. Stone Cold had shocked the world by aligning himself with the villainous Vince McMahon, his arch rival for the last 4 years during the Attitude Era. And the night after Raw, Triple H came out, and it looked like he was going to attack Stone Cold since previously they were the most bitter of rivals and possibly one of my favorite feuds of the Attitude Era. And along with that, it turns out that Triple H was in cahoots with Vince McMahon and Stone Cold, and they formed the two-man power trip, or just the power trip, where Triple H and Stone Cold were in line with Vince McMahon, and they pretty much had all the power of the WWF. Now, I really loved where this angle was going. Like, I was still iffy on Stone Cold's aligning with Vince McMahon. I was still a kid. I didn't really watch much of the programming at that time, but I looked up some old footage of it on the internet, and as much as I could, considering at that time. And I was generally impressed with how the angle was going. I even look back on it now on the WWE Network at times when I'm able to find episodes that haven't been removed yet, or episodes that haven't really been uploaded yet. And I really was enjoying where the angle was going. I really loved how it was going. Like, this vicious side of Stone Cold was beating people up as usual, even when he was a face. He did this in a more cruel manner towards faces and started beating up Lita a lot. Ouch. Back when a heel would actually be allowed to strike a woman on TV, that was still shocking to me, and like, you wouldn't see this in the PG era, especially when scenes obviously called for that kind of moment, or at least looked like it was going to lead to that disaster, but they don't never go for it since WWE went PG. But the two-man power trip had formed, and they were later start a feud with the Hardy Boys, the Brothers of Destruction, and all that. And especially with the Hardy Boys, like, it was a week later, and Stone Cold and Triple H and Stephanie McMahon lost a six-man tag team match against the Hardy Boys and Lita, aka Team Extreme. And I just cringed at the brutality of how the aftermath assault was. Like, when I look at it now, I was like, okay, I know this is an angle and whatnot, but as a kid watching it, I was cringing just watching that scene, like seeing a woman get beaten up. Like, at that time, I had watched the late stages of the Attitude Era, so I wouldn't noticed it. So I hadn't noticed any women getting beat up by men on TV, so I didn't notice that until that episode of Raw. And my God, like, it was just so brutal. Chair shots to the Hardy Boys, pedigrees, Stone Cold Stunners, and this was the anti-established guy. Now he was becoming the establishment. It was, and then there was the feud with the Brothers of Destruction, which accumulated at like total of three big matches. One at Backlash for the tag team titles and the WWF and Intercontinental title, the WWF World and Intercontinental titles, and Triple H and Stone Cold won all the titles pretty much. They were the new gold team, succeeding Shawn Michaels and Diesel, aka Kevin Nash. Um, and I was really loving where the momentum was going. They were riding high. Triple H later lost the belt to one of the Hardy Boys. I kind of forgot who on SmackDown, but then regained it like on Monday night, a few nights later. But then they had an accumulated match with Kane and The Undertaker taking on Stone Cold and Triple H in two different matches. Kane went ahead and fought Triple H in a chain match. Stone Cold fought The Undertaker in a no holds barred match, and I was still a kid. I hadn't watched the pay per view. I didn't watch the pay per view, but I did. But I did buy the DVD, and I was as a kid I was flabbergasted at how brutal these matches were. These chain matches, the no holds bar match, like, they were just violent and whatnot. And I was like, I was a kid, I was still innocent. But when I look at it now, I just watch it and And I'm like, the matches were good, but they weren't really great at times. Like, The Undertaker, oh, of course, it's going to be The Undertaker. He always delivers. So, Stone Cold retained his title, and Kane gained the Intercontinental title from Triple H. Then the next night on Raw, they had to defend the tag team titles against he who must not be named because he's the WWE equivalent of Voldemort, Chris Benoit, and Chris Jericho. A pairing I always loved to see on TV as a tag team. I really thought, well, their greatest rivals. Let's tag them together. Now, then, and this is where the two-man power trip came to a sad, abrupt end. This tag team match was happening. It was going all smoothly. Then Triple H torn his quadriceps. Okay, if this was happening now in 2015, the match would have been stopped. But Triple H, being the soldier, and like give Triple H all the criticism, like all the Reign of Terror era he was on when he was back, the whole creative control power, the marriage of Stephanie McMahon. Like, people will give him criticism with that, but a lot of people gave Triple H one hell of a bunch of respect when he soldiered on and continued the match like nothing was wrong, even though everyone knew, yeah, there's something wrong here. Triple H even let Chris Jericho put him in the walls of Jericho, which applied pressure to his leg, and that had got to hurt even more since, well, all things considered. And like, they finished the match, like they managed to finish the match, and Triple H was able to go out walking. And the doctor in the Triple H documentary, Thy Kingdom Come, said that he stood up on it, which was next to impossible. So, Triple H, man, you are one hell of a soldier. I would have you on the front lines, man. I would be on your side, and all that. But like, yeah, like, it was a shocking moment, and it was sad that the team came to an end. I was really, and considering what happened later on with the whole invasion angle, which I will talk about in another video, but I was really curious to know what would have happened had Triple H not gotten injured. Would the two-man power trip still continue, or would they have went their separate ways? Austin on Team WWF, Triple H on Team Invasion, on the Alliance. Like, I was really curious of how things would have gone. I don't think I ever found what kind of plans they had for that. I keep thinking that I never found an article or a link, so if you can find one where it talks about what would have happened had Triple H not gotten injured, if there was ever a report or the creative team ever came up with an idea. But it was always curious to me what would have been. That's mostly where the fascination comes from. Like, I always wondered what could have been with the two-man power trip. It was such an awesome angle going on. It had writing momentum. It ended abruptly, and I really loved Triple H and Stone Cold teaming up. Like, they were my favorite guys of the Attitude Era. So to see them team up, and after they had one of the bitter rivalries in the WWF of the Attitude Era, I was all for this team up. Even though when you look back on it now, Austin turning heel, kind of stupid. But if the two-man power trip was a success and not ended the way it did, I would have said Austin's heel turn would have been a success. Well, everyone, this was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate, and stay tuned for more.